I'd like to introduce Neta Alexander, who is a PhD student at NYU in the Department of Cinema Studies and writes for Haaretz as well, who will be moderating the conversation. Please welcome Daniel Sokatch, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the New Israel Fund, one of our partners on tonight's event and on the festival in general. And finally, please welcome Khader Abu Saif, who needs no introduction.
Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for staying for this panel. So before I'm going to open it up for your questions from the audience, I have some questions of my own. And this is the third screening of this film in this festival. So I was curious about what kind of reactions and comments did you receive so far?
First of all, everybody thinks that I look amazing in a wedding dress. Let's start with that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, thank you. It was a special diet to fit in. But I think that the first screening, in every screening, it was different reaction. The most surprised reaction was in the second screening. There was like kind of majority of Arabs inside of the screening, and this guy in the last row started like he was Jewish, and he started to scream at me, "You're a hypocrite! How dare you call yourself Palestinian? How dare you? You're a hypocrite!" And I was like,
"Oh, so it made you feel like home?"
Yeah, I was back home for a minute. It was exciting. I was like, "Yay!" There it's all happening again. But it was an amazing reaction. I think that this visit teach me so many about the Jewish living abroad. I met in this journey a lot of Jews that changed my thinking about this. We support Bibi in every way, and that was amazing.
So. And I have to ask you: have your father seen the film?
Yeah.
He's seen the film.
He didn't say nothing.
Okay, no reaction whatsoever.
No.
What about your mother?
She actually the only thing that bothered her from the beginning was hijab lady that smoked cigarettes in the. She was, yeah, okay, you're gay. Why you need to do that? And I was like, it's like I'm trying to reflect about our society. How it does it do with the hijab lady? That was our argument. It wasn't about the movie.
Yeah, we can sit down. We can definitely sit down. So let's take a step back and go to the beginning. Who came up with the idea, and when was that?
Jake, the director, wanted to do a film, of course, about a mixed couple, Jewish and Arab couple. And he came to me with the idea, and I was like, he talked about it, and he was really excited. And I was like, it sounds good, but sorry, it's so 90s. Any director like did it before, and let's try something new. Let's talk about the new Palestinian identity of a lot of younger generation that now experience everything from everything. I called it, I think, then the Woodstock of Palestine, and that I was kind of drunk, but yeah.
But I was amazed and grateful for the fact that it seems to me that you gave, not just you, but you and Fadi and Naim, gave him full access to everything with no censorship whatsoever.
It was so easy. Jake is he's not Israeli. He's coming from he's from Britain, and in a way he was also an outsider inside of Israel. A lot of time he was complaining exactly like us. It doesn't matter where you come from. If you're not Israeli, Israeli, you will have it in some point. You're gonna take it all. And so it was really comfortable to enter this to make him enter our life, because in a way he was part of us, even though he didn't grow up with us, or he wasn't a best friend of us.
And Danielle, I would love to ask you, when did you come on board with this project? When did you first heard about it?
So New Israel Fund has been supportive of the Other Israel Film Festival, and of course for many, many years we have been one of the engines of support for the LGBT community in Israel, and also the organizations working for Palestinian Israeli civil rights. So when I got the invitation to speak with you all tonight, it was an honor. I'm a bit superfluous because we have such a great person to tell us stories, but It's true. And you know, as I was watching the movie, and I'm sure a lot of us, it was incredibly moving, and the emotional heart of the film for me is the scene in Fadi's family, right, in his living room, and it reminded me of this experience that I had a few years ago, completely other, right, but with a similar sort of emotional intensity, which I think actually says a lot about why NIF is part of an event like this one. I was meeting with, I was in Washington with one of our grantees, a guy named Khader Elad, who some of you may know, who today is the director of B'Tselem, Israel's leading human rights organization. At the time, was the director of the Association for Civil Rights in Israel, which is the ACLU of Israel, and the New Israel Fund's flagship grantee organization. And before that, was the head of Jerusalem Open House, which is a leading LGBT group, right, based in Jerusalem, obviously. So he's really done the whole scene. He and I were in D.C. meeting with then Congressman Barney Frank. So this was sort of the preeminent, you know, out gay person in the Democratic Party and in American government. And we walked into his office to talk about some of the issues that we are terribly concerned about having to do with the state of Israeli democracy. And as we walked in, Chagai leaned over and said to me, I met him before when I was at Open House, but it was years ago and he won't remember. We walked in and the first thing Barney Frank does is say, I know you, I met you at the Jerusalem Open House, I remember that. And we get into this conversation in which also I am completely superfluous. And at one point, Frank is talking about LGBT rights in Israel, and Chagai says, what I want from my country, Congressman, is that we treat Arab Israelis, our Palestinian Israeli citizens, with the same amount of dignity and respect, and with the same accord of equal rights and full citizenship that we treat our LGBT citizens. And so, you know, this really goes to, I think, the point of trying to build a society where people with, like all of us, with complex identities that are not one thing, can actually just live.
So I have a question for both of you, because I feel the film is touching upon many different subjects. One of them is this idea of pinkwashing, which is the use that Israeli asbara is trying to do with this idea of LGBT. Israel is the only place in the Middle East in which people like you, LGBT, can live peacefully and have their human rights respected. And this is something that Fadi is kind of pushing against. And what is your take on that?
Well, Fadi kind of pushing against. He's living today with Nadav in this like project with their little dog that they buy in 3,000 shekels. He can push against it. That bitch.
I wish he was here and sound
yeah,
like you're a hypocrite.
he's my best friend. I can say it. We know each other since we were 13 almost. But about pinkwashing, it's like our biggest afraid, because our biggest afraid is when the movie didn't screen yet in Israel, and we are always thinking about it and think what they're gonna say and what they're gonna think. Nobody can really predict it. I don't think that we will know what the impact will be, but we are ready. We are definitely ready. The movie we didn't name it Oriented just like this because we wanted to talk about the Orientalism, and we wanted to talk about the fact that Jewish British men did this movie about three gay Palestinians. We cannot ignore it. But I am ready to shoot. I don't have any problem if somebody will come and say it's a pinkwashing. In the screening in Sheffield, I think, we got this woman, really pretty woman, like nice, and after the movie she was like, screaming at us, and she looked at me at name and she said, you're not Palestinian and he's not Palestinian, Fadi is Palestinian. And we were like, okay, nice lady, what now? Thank you for defining us. Like, and I think that it's the same. I think that a lot of activists in Israel will start automatically, even just seeing the trailer, will start to say like pinkwashing. Yeah, but we're not pinkwashing. We're just the side effect of the Israeli society. Okay.
The problem with the pinkwashing accusation, in addition to the one that you just said, I guess related to it, is that what's offensive about it, what's challenging about it, is that it suggests that somehow rights of LGBT people in Israel are better than in lots of other countries as a result of the largesse of the Israeli government. somehow the authorities in an enlightened country said, yes, we treat these people differently. When, of course, while the situation is much better in Israel than in many other countries around the world, that's a result of a movement of LGBT activists, Jewish and Palestinian Israeli, who for decades have fought for their rights and who have scratched and scrambled for them. And for people like you guys and your friends who are out there creating a new set of identities and expressing them publicly. So pinkwashing suggests that somehow it's something that comes from the largesse of the government, when in fact it comes from activists and generations of work.
Okay. So I prepared like 80 other questions to ask you, but I think I'm going to give them up and open it up to questions from the audience. So there's a microphone going on. So if anyone,
I just thought it was very interesting to me how you and your friends the dialogue, like your internal dialogue was in and out of Hebrew and Arabic, sometimes in the same sentence. There's some Hebrew, there's some Arabic, and I imagine that you've been educated.
You need to hold it still.
Oh, sorry. That you and your friends communicate in both Hebrew and Arabic, like easily going in and out of it. And there's a particular scene in which you express a deep level of despair at what's going on and how it's never going to change, but you're actually having that conversation in Hebrew. And I was just wondering if a lot of times when you're having those conversations in Hebrew, is it because David was in the room, or is it just, it's a natural way, it's to grow up with multiple identities that you pass in and out of the languages?
The problem is actually me. It's not because David in the room. It's because I'm from Jaffa, and Jaffa is it's a mixed city with Tel Aviv, and so we mixed a lot of Arabic and Hebrew together. And my friends Fadi, Naim, and Naram are from the north, and they mix a lot of English with their Arabic. So when we started to when this group of friends started to get really close, they were always laughing about me how much I use Hebrew, and they tried to change it so much, so they ruin me. I'm kind of speaking now trilingual every day, two words of Hebrew, 2 words of English, 2 words of Arabic.
What are you thinking?
Hebrew.
Don't tell.
I will not.
Hey, I'm here. Yeah, I'm from Ramallah وأنا كتير حبيت الفيلم.
شكرا.
عفواً.
شرفنا.
أهلين. I just want to ask about the gay movement. Why the gay movement doesn't have any activities in the West Bank or Jordan? I lived in Jordan and in West Bank for a while. Actually, I grew up in West Bank, but then I studied in Jordan, and I don't see that that LGBT is doing any activities in the region aside from Israel. It's really frustrating because I have so many gay friends in Ramallah and in Jordan, but no one is supporting them there.
I'm sorry to tell you that, but you're connecting to the wrong gay people. I was 2 months ago in this amazing, crazy gay party underground in Ramallah. It was I cannot say where actually, but it was amazing. And El Kaus, actually, I cannot speak in the name of El Kaus, of course, they forbid it. And specifically in this institute, they are boycotting everything Israeli. So, but I would say that they have amazing parties, and there is kind of underground gay scene in Ramallah. It's not successful and happy and kicking in Tel Aviv or Jaffa, but it's happening for sure. If you want, I can meet you after that, give you all the details.
One more question.
So, how have you been since the movie? What have you been up to?
Single. But enjoying it. Actually, Naran now is my roommate. We're living together in Jaffa. That's fun. Fadi is living with his boyfriend now for a year, actually, and I'm so happy to see Fadi in this phase. It's so new to us to see him in this relationship, and it's really, really, really to see him for the first time, not worrying about the fact that Nadav is a Jew. It's make me feel so proud. I raised the kid like I should. And Naim is in a better place with his family because just 2 weeks ago, Naim's family watched the movie. And the react was kind of, but they just approved with Jake that he can screen it in Israel because they were holding it back. So now I think that we are in a good place.
So let me just ask you one last thing. In the film, in the ending scene, you mentioned that you lost your hope and you feel that you cannot change. There's nothing you can do there. And I wonder, how do you feel about it now, especially relating to what's gone on in the past few weeks in Jerusalem and in Israel?
I'm not there. I'm in New York. But anyway, no, it was terrible, like always. But I think that I wanted to live so much, and I wanted to be in other place so much, and it was amazing after the breakup to get back to Jaffa. And I get it now that I shouldn't change Tel Aviv and I shouldn't change Berlin. I should change my community. I born and raised in Jaffa, and this is a great place to start the gay movement, the gay community waking up. It's a mixed city. We have the privilege to get like harder there and get like more like faster and like be more direct with them. We have a neighbor really religious. He cannot even accept the fact in the way that I dress and I behave and I'm talking in the elevator. He always say, "How is your wife?" About Naram. And Naram told him twice, like, "I'm not his wife. Stop saying that." And I think this is our place to change. And I think that everybody is changing in his own way. Like, I don't have a specific answer to that. But I guess that it's always tough. We have short time to breathe. Once we have like 5 years between war and like things that happening now, and then it became 3, and now we have like just few months to live regular, to live as persons, to live as who we are, and that's sad. And I wish that it will over already. But I'm going back to that, so maybe I will be smarter next time.
And Daniel, is someone who's insider, outsider from where you stand, are you more optimistic than you used to be, or less so?
Do you want my honest answer, or do you want?
Please. Yes, only honest answer.
Look, I mean, I really think that you said it. It feels like, and I certainly know NIF, we have 140 mixed Jewish, Palestinian, Israeli staff in 3 offices in Jerusalem, in the north and in the south. And they're like a microcosm of what I think many of us would like to see Israel be, right? A place where during these awful conflicts, whether it's last summer or this summer, they know how to hang together and support each other, even when their families are affected. Of course, that's not the reality. That's the aspirational piece. And for me, anyway, and I know for the NIF community, like it's the very existence of these organizations and activists who are every day trying to build a place that we can all feel proud of and in which people can breathe and just live their lives in accordance to the best of our values, that gives me hope. So, there's the only Jewish thing I'll say tonight is that my favorite rabbi, Abraham Joshua Heschel, said it was a sin for Jews to despair. So I feel like it's a luxury that we don't really have.
This is a great note to end on. We can continue this conversation outside. We have another skinning, so we kind of have to clear out this room. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neta. Thank you, Daniel. And thank you, Khader, of course.